Information Regulator has served the SAPS with a summons. It comes after personal information of the Krugersdorp gang rape victims was leaked. The victims' names, ages, home addresses and nature of violations found its way to WhatsApp. The regulator says attempts to get a proper explanation from police has failed. For more on this, we're joined by Information Regulator's Alison Tilley. Ms. Tilley, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Now, you have issued this notice seeking answers around the release of that information of the 8 Krugersdorp rape victims. Talk to us about this notice.
Well, what has happened is that we've asked SAPS to explain why this personal information of the Krugersdorp rape victims was made public, and the SAPS have not really been they've not been able to answer those questions. So now what we've done is issued a summons where SAPS are being asked to appear before the regulator on the 20th September in order to provide the information that we've asked for about what the circumstances were in which this obviously very personal and very private information was circulated.
Mm-hmm. And then what happens if in this forum or platform where they'll be expected to furnish the information, they're not forthcoming or plead the fifth and say they actually don't know how the information was leaked? What then?
Well, the regulator has something called an enforcement committee, which we've established and which has the power to make recommendations to the regulator, who can then make orders. So the extent of those are fines and also jail terms for people who or government or companies who don't respond to these kinds of, either that they don't respond to the summons or they have processed the information improperly and they're unable to give an explanation of why or how they did it.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of oversight, if police officers are found to have circulated this type of sensitive information, would it just be those individuals that are disciplined, or you would take it to the top and even discipline at least their leaders insofar as ensuring that such sensitive information is protected?
Well, I think the difficulty at this point, and it tells you a lot of the story, is that SAPS are unable to explain how this information came to be circulated on WhatsApp groups outside of the police. So the fact that you can't explain how information like this came to be in the public domain already tells you that there's a significant problem, because then you just don't know how your own information is being processed. So I think that's a clear signal that there's difficulty certainly within the group of investigators as to who ultimately needs to be held responsible. That's exactly what the information notice was trying to establish. And, as I say, we haven't been able to get a response from SAPS on that. And that's why we're going to have to ask them to come in to the regulator in response to a summons and tell us what's been going on.
Mm-hmm. And this honestly is a serious violation of their rights, but also contravention of the POPI Act, because you're not meant to circulate information under these times, but also given the nature of what has occurred, you cannot surely be disclosing the information or the identity of these individuals. It's honestly very painful. But is this perhaps the only incident where you've had challenges in terms of getting information from the police around matters similar to this one?
Well, look, I'm pleased to say we haven't had matters similar to this one. I mean, this really is the most egregious, shocking disclosure of information that is both personal information and private information. They're slightly different things, and certainly it's the sort of information that should never have been made public, and it's really concerning that the systems at SAPS are such that this information has been made available. So, we certainly are going to follow this one up. And as I say, we've issued a summons so that the relevant officials can come and try and explain to us how on earth this happened.
Now, just for the benefit of those who might not be sure or aware, can you just take us through the scope of the Information Regulator's work?
So the Information Regulator is the caretaker of two rights. The one is the right of access to information, and the other one is the right to have your personal information properly processed. It's two laws, PIA, Access to Information Act, and POPI, the Protection of Personal Information Act. And complaints and concerns about how, your personal information is being processed and questions about access to information are the things that the regulator is concerned with, and we can be contacted in order to act on them.
All right. Ms. Tilley, thank you very much for your time. That is Information Regulator Alison Tilley.